going to do a little bit of prefacing before we actually start the session because I feel like there's a few mechanics, stuff that isn't too complex, but stuff I want to call out now, so I'm not explaining it in the middle of like story beats and shit like that. The most pressing of those is a global effect while you are on the Isle of Rats. Every night, you're going to have to contest against a +8 physique challenge, which is contested by your shelter score. And that basically is on the island. There are these locations, right, that have these shields. And in those locations, you can use investigate to find shelter. Depending on your success, that's how many points of shelter value it adds. And if you leave that location, you still maintain the value there. So if you wanted to come back, you could use the previous shelter score. Basically, just saying you already scouted a location and you know how to use it. Something to keep in mind with this whole issue is that you cannot use advantages to bolster your score, but you can use fate points. So if we got a shelter score of 4 per se, you would roll, and then if you have a character aspect that makes you a little bit more resilient, or you think would fortify you against the rat plague, you'd be able to use a fate point to do that. And then the last thing to call out is that if you take stress from this whole issue, those stress boxes do not refresh until the next night. They are basically just, you did not sleep well, your body and your mind reflect your new state. And that diminishment is going to affect other people on the island too, so don't feel too bad about it. But it's something to keep in mind. If you're planning to go out and do a big conflict the next day, it behooves you to have a good shelter to stay in the night before, just so you're not hamstringing yourselves. So, any questions about this mechanic before we get rolling?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So we're doing that, and then just so we're all on the same page too, global objective for the Isle of Rats is get off the Isle of Rats. There are plenty of ways to do that. I have about 4 in my own kind of machinations, but it's fate. If you guys come up with something, we can make it work. Just keep in mind that if something doesn't work, you can always try something else. It all really just depends on who you align yourselves with and what type of objectives you see you guys fulfilling. So keep that in mind, and I think we can start going unless anyone has any last minute things to talk about. Oh, all right.
Just be really careful what you throw at me. It's my birthday, so when you're
I
putting
would-
a challenge forward, really consider that number.
Yeah, so ordinarily, and this is just advice, ordinarily in Fate, you want to really consider, like, is this challenge interesting? I would say, is this challenge a birthday gift to Declan tonight? Just consider that.
Okay, so we open on a darkened chamber room. There's no light, no sound, but
gonna
then
be a
from the
surprise
depths
party.
of it, there are 18 candles lit
Yeah.
in slow succession. Crow, I'm going to need a physique roll to blow out your candles. It is an 8. 8 challenge.
What's the?
Wow. Oh my
And it's
God.
interesting to fail that.
18 challenge, one for each.
It will be. Also, get ready for birthday punches. Everybody here is going to give you fights. What's up?
Yes, definitely like the Irish birthday bops.
Yep.
Is he have to make a wish? You didn't say make a wish.
He only makes a wish if he succeeds on the physique roll.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
Okay, good.
If you roll lore, you'll know that.
Shit, you're right.
If you don't, I told you, so who cares?
Fucking cares.
All right. Let's get going then. All right. There is a lonely black shore on the Isle of Rats. Like the rest of the isle, it is cold and lifeless, marked by the scattered bones of the suicides who landed there. The quiet solitude of this beach is broken by a woman, pale and heavy with water, who steps onto the rocky shore. The grace befitting her is gone, replaced by a hunger that turns her eyes gray and skin a shallow green. The scattered bodies on the shore are meager. Greater game awaits her beyond the falls. Mac, you are standing on a beach at the bottom of a great waterfall known as Pardoner's Plummet, the last challenge that separates you from the feasting grounds. You've made this journey before, and you know that an hour's labor is all that separates you from your bounty. And just all around you is a scattered shore, just kind of like pin marked with kind of areas of bone white. And a few curious ravens watch you from above.
Yeah, so the pale lady will kind of pull herself out of the shallows. It's a chore as her extended fish form kind of beaches like a whale, and then she pulls part of it under herself to make herself able to move on land. And she will navigate toward the inland falls.
Okay, perfect. As you approach, hunger starts pulling at you. Not just an animalistic kind of gnawing at the stomach, but kind of a deeper one in the core of your mind. You feel divided, kind of, between what you were and what the ocean has turned you into. And what we're going to do is currently you have 6 hunger. I'll
Okay.
explain kind of what that is as we keep going, but know that the only way to combat or to remove these hunger kind of ticks is by consuming, whether that is the recently dead or the old dead. You need something substantial to help you kind of regain your balance. And you feel all this as the kind of mist from this giant waterfall starts pouring towards you, kind of obfuscating you, and it's a white.
Is there anything close by that I could feed on to decrease my hunger
Are there
Sure.
6 points worth of hunger adjacent to me right now?
right now? In fact,
Yeah, you see a funeral procession,
Hmm.
and everyone's just crying. It's just really fucking tragic.
I come in, I'm
Yeah,
clapping.
you got your bib on.
So sad.
I would set the notice roll or notice challenge at a 2. It's pretty sparse. Be difficult to find something here.
Good start. Fuck me. I'm focused.
You see kind of like a length of a phalanx, a finger, and your hands go to maybe reach for it, but it is just as quickly snapped up in the beak of a raven that just flies off into the distance.
Kind of hissing through her teeth. She will reluctantly move further inland.
Okay. Yeah, the towering falls only seem more imposing as you get closer and closer to them. The entire perimeter of the Isle of Rats rests on basically 200, 300 foot of elevation, all kind of like the circumference of which is covered in these rocky mountains. It's an incredibly unwelcoming place, and to get to where you're going, you're going to need to swim about 300 feet vertically.
Oh, I am gonna do a salmon, yes.
Yes, basically the equivalent of a salmon swimming upstream.
Excellent. What kind of role is that? Athletics?
It will be in athletics. Challenge of, let's see, another challenge of 2. This is a pretty daunting thing, but you are of the water.
I gotta ask, does my stunt count for this?
Of course, of course,
Absolutely. All right,
yeah.
great. Nope. I literally typed in +1. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Okay. So, it's a challenging go of it. You kind of push yourself into the falls and feel the water pouring around you, and kind of describe to me what it looks like as you start swimming up this rushing water.
Her form elongates. It's kind of like she's folded up into herself, and as she hits the water, her full length starts kind of snaking up the falls, which is, as you said, a tremendous effort. And it's just the beating waves of, high intensity waterfall crashing into her face as she's just making it up the cliff.
Okay. Since it is a match, I'm going to increase the challenge by 1 on this next roll. I need you to roll a notice as you kind of merge and climb and try to find your way up these hills.
I can certainly fail this. Okay, much better. Much better
Okay,
this time.
very good. As your eyes kind of break the water line, you see a glint on the right side of the falls, and it's consistent. You dive in, you dive back out, and you just see a faint glimmer from the top right. And your instincts are telling you to pull left away from the glimmer as you climb further and further up.
I absolutely do that. I
Cool.
listen to my instincts and move away from the interesting light.
This will give you an advantage.
Great.
So you continue climbing further and further up, and you're nearly there now. You see the kind of white brush of these waves as they start to pull over the top of the mountain cliff. And in another moment, you breach, and you are surrounded by the massive and haunting structures of the Isle of Rats. And just to kind of give people an understanding of what this area looks like. It is a land completely covered in tombs and crypts, all of which have been exhumed and chewed over and emptied. It is just limitless and boundless and completely surrounding you in all directions. And cutting through this kind of giant gravesite is the stream you currently find yourself in. Yeah, not that. That's not there. That
No.
not there. Unfortunately, I didn't crop
Man,
that.
the sleeping god isn't there.
Hello.
No, I do like the weird shit, but that's a little too weird. And you have successfully swam over the top of the falls. And kind of, yeah, go ahead.
No, that's it.
And just as you are kind of getting your bearings, right behind you from the belly of the stream, you hear a loud snap. And turning quickly, your large eyes reflect a net that has completely cut off any escape or your retreat back into the safety of the ocean. And looking right towards the area that the light came from, you see dozens of men and women rushing alongside the river stream with voices shouting above the waterline, and you see Sharp and Silver tracking your movements. And at the head of those is a woman on a massive black steed, adorned in a black cloak, kind of riveted with bone and slight golden trinkets, is a just kind of mangled face that looks down at you with the utmost disgust and shouts, "Keep your backs to the ocean. Do you not let her find an opening. On land we are stronger than the Sea Witch." And what we're going to do now is a contest, as all of these eyes and armaments are pointed towards you. And the only way is forward.
Through the. Can I continue in the water?
Oh, yeah. For
Excellent.
this length of the race, you definitely can.
Okay, thank God. All right.
So, what would you end up doing?
I would like to keep swimming as fast as I can with athletic.
Okay. I will contest that with a 2 shoot, as all of these rivets are kind of loosened into the water. So your challenge is a 2.
All right. Wow, I can fail it.
Okay. Currently
Have
failure.
rolls today.
What this is going to look like, if they get 3 successes before you get 3 successes, you are going to have a number of people on your tail.
Okay.
If you succeed, it's going to take them much longer to find you.
All right.
Okay. Are you going to leave that as is?
Is this? It's first 2, 3. You said, right?
Yep. First to 3.
All right. I'll leave that one for now.
Okay. You. Oh, and you do have an advantage. Don't forget.
Oh, I did immediately forget that I had an advantage.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Okay. So currently, you will dive into the water, but a few of the darts will kind of direct you closer to their shore against your better judgment. You'll hear the stomping of the horse beats on the land as they try to pursue after you. So you can continue down the river stream if you wish. What would your next action be?
Can I do another athletics? I can just keep the same stat, or does it need to be a different one?
No.
Hey.
For currently, it sounds like you can.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Declan. What are you gonna? Yeah.
No, sorry, I
Currently,
shouldn't have jumped in. It's just
Oh
I think about the
no.
rules so much. I love to
No,
help.
please. I would think
it can seem trite, but often they can be. Like the rules don't say do your best to vary it up. It's more room for creativity when you vary it up.
Yeah, yeah. And currently, given
I
the
feel like this is
situation
my
on
best
land,
option. Yeah.
yeah, until it's not, and currently it is available to you. So they are going to shoot again at a 2 since you are currently in the water still.
Alrighty. I'm
You have
going
your
to
advantage.
advantage this time.
Okay. Okay. Good news here is you succeed with style, which gives you 2 points
Oh, excellent.
instead of just the 1. So what does the pale lady do to kind of pull ahead at this point?
Maybe there's like a little bit of a deeper pool at this particular juncture of the river, and she will dive much deeper than they can visibly see, like into the kind of grimy undertow of this river, and will like maneuver through the bottom plants and rocks to help, guess, cover herself,
Okay.
moving quickly through the rapids.
Okay. Far above you, the kind of the pounding of the hoofbeats will continue as you dive underneath, and the woman, kind of like scowling, shouts up ahead, "Heimlich, pull the line!" And as you come up and kind of pushed further and further upwards, you see a secondary net trying to cut you off at this point.
Heimlich, the maneuver.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So it seems like at this point, they're kind of pushing you towards the shore, and that swimming is going to not really be an option very soon.
God damn it. All right. I I I guess I'm just gonna keep going with athletics for now. I think that's still my best option. I'm gonna try to
Yep,
outmaneuver the net here.
it is your last one, your last attempt with athletics. So let's see if this gets you there. Challenge is going to stay at a 2, and you will succeed.
Thank goodness.
So maybe you best the net in this case, and kind of their best laid plans are for nothing as you crest over it. And everyone curses as you just kind of sail into the lake beyond.
This creature of a woman moving as nimbly as any river fish right over the net as they kind of clunkily pull this thing. She has no problem breaching over it and quickly maneuvering further downstream.
Okay. The woman will narrow her eyes and watch as you disappear further and further away, kind of being carried by the stream. And she will regard her second in command and say, "Spread yourselves to the 8 winds. Anywhere this beast can hide, you will turn it over. And a garrison at Plummet. Do not give her a chance to escape, not until our job is done. In the name of the king." And she will kind of regain control of the reins. I know, it's another Plummet. um, but Mac, that is far, far behind you as you push yourself further and further into the land, being surrounded by more and more sarcophagi and large obelisks, kind of casting their shadows over the water. And as you get further and further in, the lake becomes more shallow until you're basically in a chest-high water and you're quickly running out of space.
It's once certain that the hoofbeats are well behind her and that there doesn't seem to be anyone else stalking her on land, she'll rise back out of the water, uh, very sleek with the just the dew running off of her. I think that her first priority would to be to look for something to eat. I think that's why we're here.
Okay. Um, What skill would you like to use to do so?
Notice.
Okay. You are much further in now. I'm going to set the notice challenge at a 1.
Oh, come on!
I can get
Okay.
another negative. Don't worry. Don't worry, I can do it.
Surrounded as you are by these graves turned over, you as the Pale Lady find something dependable. Kind of a corpse leaning on one side, its casket open for what you can imagine to be years, kind of sea-stained, exposed to the sun. And the kind of hollow corpse within, reflecting just a little bit of light within its eyes. A light you're accustomed to. This will remove 1 hunger point.
Nice. Mark it down. And
I don't know if the pale lady knows. Isn't that real bad news to have a corpse here on land in front of us? Have
That's
I
a
forgotten the lore?
question. The Pale Lady is strange. I don't know how much you know. If you want to ask questions too, like we can kind of iron this out now. The Isle of Rats is basically a giant grave site.
yeah.
It's just open graves with corpses kind of littering and rats wherever those spots aren't filled by corpses.
I was gonna say I was under the assumption, just given that it was like a mass grave, that finding a body wasn't entirely crazy, but I
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, what the fuck?
oh
Oh!
Hey,
Oh, I'm hit!
don't you not shoot the gun in the office, please? We got
I've
that
been
gun.
hit.
We made a promise.
happy birthday!
You hit that gun on us.
It's a birthday popper. It's a
Birthday
Glock.
Glock.
It's
Get
a
him along. Dessert.
Yeah. So when I encounter the body, I think I'm just hungry enough that it doesn't even matter to me right now. Once she finds one that has a particular hue in their eyes that she's looking for, she'll lean over the corpse and she'll take her fingers and just kind of open its mouth, and she will start to sing. And it's kind of this further away shot where her singing sort of reverberating coolly, eerily through the sort of surrounding grave site. And when she pulls away, the corpse is left just completely paled, and its eyes are a dull, milky hue, similar to her own.
Yeah. This pale corpse kind of stands in contrast to the orange and grays that surround it, kind of alien and removed. But you, feeling a bit more balanced, are able to regain your footing and kind of take stock of your current situation. And as you are regarding the space around you, you see a number of men a good distance away from you, moving further east or this way. Up above you, the sun is probably a good 2 hours away from setting, and given your knowledge about this land and having been here before, you know that it is dangerous to be caught in the night.
Well, I'm going to follow these men then, because I'm assuming they're headed towards shelter if it's that close to nighttime. But I want to do so without being detected, if I can roll
Yeah.
a stealth.
Notice challenge of 1. You do so. An ongoing aspect you guys can tap is just the kind of graveyard situation here, like overcrowded graveyard or something like that. I'll come up with something a little bit more punchy, but it's easy for the Pale Lady to disappear here. And how do you do so, Mag?
I think that she will maneuver, carefully behind overturned graves, but also uh, her kind of cloak, which is actually uh, the fins on her arms, as it's kind of draped over her body, takes on a little bit of the hues of the colors around her to help make her a little bit more inconspicuous. Help.
Okay. Okay, so we will leave the Pale Lady trailing this group, kind of moving along behind this group and a bit further ahead. The camera will focus on the back of a large man, kind of muscular with a large whaling implement in his right hand. And Declan, what does Crow look like? What type of situation is Crow in as he gets himself closer and closer to the security of this grave site over here?
So yes, what situation am I in? I'm approaching a
Yeah.
gravesite for what, perchance?
For shelter, high above your head, you can see the sun quickly disappearing behind the mountaintops. You have about an hour ahead of you before night falls and the rats are descending upon you.
This evenly sized man shambles, I would definitely call it. A bone spear in one hand, and a whaling hook in the other, as well as various implements draped about his overcoat, his, what do you call it? I don't know, a seafarer's coat.
Mm-hmm.
He drags himself along, not injured, it's just sort of the gait that he carries. There is no attempt to mimic upright, proper posture. His eyes sort of glare out from the sunken, dark recesses that they are set into. And his hair is shaved on both sides and tied back. The only sort of organized looking part, almost monk-like in its braiding. He drags the implement along, drags himself along the dense rope made of unknown material that connects the spear to the apparatus on his shoulder, jostles. As there is no uncertain or wasted movement, his eyes just scan the horizon for threats, and then continues trailing the shelter he's been seeking out for himself as night approaches.
Perfect. As you trudge your way through the countless graves, your eyes rest on a massive stone pillar, one that has been painstakingly carved into. You've seen plenty like this. In fact, you've been here for 3 weeks, carrying about your own mission and just getting acquainted with the island in your own way. And as your eyes kind of pass over the familiar passages, this is what you see. The closest thing that passes for law on this island. The gold shirts, the kind of law-keeping body, is on the other side of the barren strait between a wall and you. But it seems like someone has taken the trouble to make sure that these people have some semblance of rules. And just kind of this large stone obelisk kind of passes overhead. You see a few men kind of conversing at the base of it, passing few discoveries back and forth and just kind of nodding to themselves.
And I am in this location because it looks like well-fortified shelter.
Yes, there are a few locations. These areas marked by shields are the ones that provide the best coverage. There are smaller graves out on the waste in the lands, but nothing that could protect you from the rat swarms.
He will regard the sign, make a sort of implacable expression at it, although unreadable because from the bridge of his nose down is hidden by a tattered, patterned bandana of sorts, clearly worn exclusively by the years. He continues to shamble inside after regarding it briefly, internalizing it in whatever way he does. He begins to walk in as though he belongs here.
Yeah, and no one really seems to raise much of a concern as you do. You can see dozens and dozens of men and women trying to pick their way through what remains. This seems to be a fairly common meeting point. And as your eyes kind of pass over all these people, they don't really say or do much in return. That is until one of the men, kind of tattered in his own way, kind of waves over to you and says, "Hey there, sun's getting a bit low. Any chance you know of a place to stay?"
He is going to turn to this place that he's making his way toward, and and he'll actually just do a nod of the head. He just nods his head towards this fortified area he's going toward.
He'll kind of smile big and say, "Well, my friends here, Lottie and Brexton and I are trying to find something dependable. Doesn't do anyone any good to stay outside. Mind if we tag along with you? Extra eyes ought to make it easier to search."
Shit, I guess I didn't have empathy on my sheet. Well, I'll make an attempt nonetheless. He is immediately going to scrutinize them with empathy as to their intent. Nice.
They seem worried by the setting sun. Their eyes constantly kind of shift up. And Lottie seems to be kind of nursing a blade, checking it, making sure it's ready, but you can tell it's a nervous tick, really. And Gus, the kind of leader, just stands there waiting for a response.
Crow also just stands there. There's just the sound of like dripping water and whistling wind, and like a wide shot of the two, him with poor posture, hunched over, staring back at them, and without answering, just turns around and continues his foray.
Was that a yes? It wasn't a no. And Gus will just kind of tag along behind you, maybe like 10 feet back.
He'll actually pause in his step and turn to them. And there will sort of be, sounds like some kind of weird echo accompanying his voice. It sounds like something's wrong in his windpipe as he spins and then looks at them directly with intent and says,
Charlie McKay.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. Gus will kind of step back similar to what I do, just like, "Oh, shit." And Lottie will say, "Did you say Charlie?" That's what it sounded like. And they'll kind of think for a moment between themselves, kind of rally up and say, "Sorry there, friend, I haven't heard of the man, but you could ask Herman. He lives in Ebelstadt." And he'll kind of point eastward towards a town that you've heard of. That codger knows everybody.
I'm going to look out down the road at that and do some mental calculations on my odds of reaching it, because it looks equally fortified, so my odds of reaching that before sunset.
Yeah, the distances here are a little screwy.
Sure.
It would take you about probably 6 to 8 hours to get there. This is a massive kind of thing that's separate. Like, this landmass is massive.
Yeah.
And getting there would mean kind of going through having no fortification bonus to add to your roll. So you'd be going against a +8 physique challenge when night falls.
Okay, and it's not, you said it's like an hour tonight. Is it not actually 2?
Yeah, you have 1 hour left until night falls.
Okay. He'll look out at that and frustratedly do some quiet mental math and then just tap the bone spear once and continue into this immediate adjacent fortification.
Gotcha. Brexton, the kind of a narrow man at the back, will say, "He's got good opium, too." "That he does," says Gus, just kind of nodding. And then to kind of start searching for a location, that shield means that you can actually search and get a sense of what's available. You can add 2 to your roll because these people are going to be assisting you. It'd be an investigate roll. You can use investigate or notice. And the challenge is 1. Anything above that adds to the fortification. So currently you have a fortification of 4. So pretty good. Okay.
Yes, he rolls a little well on his own and has patsies who have randomly decided to help him. So Crow kind of plays silent leader. He seems very deliberate. He knows where he's going generally. And should I make up something, or do you know?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, please.
He is going to jam his hook in and open the door to a particularly heavy mausoleum. Almost like a little, like, made-up mansion inside, as if the dead had to live in luxury. It's obviously only a mausoleum, so it's only so big, but it's like a dollhouse imitation of a mansion.
And honestly, I'd give it to you. This whole island 200 years ago was basically dead or dedicated to glorifying the dead and making their lives comfortable in the afterlife. So a lot of the creature comforts here are available, but after 200 years of being ransacked and just time, it's kind of worn itself down to nothing. But you're able to find that little mausoleum you were hoping for.
Yeah, he, as the others look and start to point in certain directions, he picks one of his favor, jams it open, and walks inside. And I'm going to say he's going to respect the service that these mooks have provided, giving him a name and bonus. So he will not close the door directly behind him on the mausoleum.
Okay, perfect. Gus will just kind of nod at your choice and say, "Yeah, that looks good enough." And a few people passing by will kind of pay their respects to him. And one will say, "Looks like you found yourself a good one." "Yeah, I think so. It's in my best auto." And he'll come in after you as all three of these people kind of filter in into the comfort of the room.
As they get like jump scared as they come in, because Crow is just ass on the floor in the corner, elbows propped up on his knees, just sitting, waiting, like staring at the entrance, like he is now counting the minutes in his head until sunrise.
"Hey, buddy, you okay? Seem a bit rigid there."
He doesn't answer.
"Maybe he's new here." "Yeah, maybe. I haven't seen him." And they'll just start to pull the door shut and make sure that it's secure for the time being.
And to entertain himself, I would like to roll. I think physique is applicable for this because my notice would be bad. Sure. I would like to assess which of the three is like the runt, who's the weakest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm good for that. You said you're going to try to use physique to try and gauge that. Challenge of 0.
Oh
yeah, no problem. You know for certain that it is Brexton.
Gosh, should I phrase that as trying to create advantage? Creating advantage is more things than you think it is. It's really
I automatically
like
assumed that was create advantage. I automatically assumed. So yeah. 2 uses of runt of the litter.
Okay.
You could turn this man's elbow against himself and just like spin it around. It is fine. The other 2 seem to have weathered the Isle of Rats a bit more, but I don't know, maybe Brexton has been here longer than they have.
Yes, he's the one taking the lead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Gus is the one that's taking.
Okay, right.
Has kind of been leading you guys.
I was just gonna say short king, but never mind.
Yeah, that also would be pretty good. And they will kind of disperse themselves around, watching as the ever diminishing light disappears from under the door until it's orange, purple, and then just kind of a cool blackness that seems to have settled into the mausoleum itself. And as your eyes are kind of like, I like to imagine the camera kind of focuses on Crow's eyes. Are they like illuminated in the dark? What does he look like as the camera kind of holds his face?
Aside from just the fact that it's weirdly my style, and I ran out of time, and it's my style.
Yeah.
Everything about him is generally sea colored. His coat, his hair, almost as if stained by the like aqua black sea. He appears to be of it, and it's similar for his eyes. His skin is more of a darker tone, but is also like tinged towards that seafoam dark green blue, and his eyes are the most vibrant part. They like the darker it gets, the brighter they seem to shine, just too terrifying. The frightening part is being able to see the whole of his irises, because that's not what you want to see a human eye doing, like evolutionarily. We don't want to see that.
Perfect. Yeah.
And before it gets away from me, halfway through the night, when he gets bored, he'll like slowly turn to Gus and wait until the moment he catches a wake of him.
Yeah. We can do that. You guys have just settled in. The night isn't going to progress too far at this moment. But maybe a good 15 minutes in, Gus will be kind of tending to himself, but you will catch a glance as he looks over at you.
And that's the most engagement he's received, is me deliberately looking at him, and Crow will say,
"Food must be scarce."
Yeah, you could say that. At least good food. You must be new here.
Who is starving? Have to cut the dead weight. Ever done that?
More than I'd like to admit.
And the reason I observed that in the first place is I wanted, and I don't know if this is a compel.
Okay.
But I am acting on thou'rt predator or prey, and he will slowly rotate his gaze to Brexton, and for no real clear goal, I want to invoke one of the free invocations and provoke, not like I'm yelling at him, but try to provoke a thought in him. Crow wants to see if he can move Gus to like consider cutting Brexton loose as a weekend.
Okay.
Because I want to provoke, because I'm trying to put fear in him indirectly.
Yeah, I like it. I'll set the challenge at a 2, because these people have a bit of history.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like telling somebody to get lost when night has fallen is a big ask. So challenge of 2, but I will allow it.
Things get shitty. I don't think I should fate point. I'll leave it on the line. This will leave it ambiguous.
Yeah.
Kane, I would like to remind you it is Declan's birthday for how you consider how you want to reconcile this match.
But he will say,
not to butt in here, but it is Declan's birthday, so I'm going to
one more person tell me it's Declan's birthday.
Hey, come on.
hello?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, why, yes, it is my birthday.
Thank you, President Barack Obama. I know you're not the president anymore, but I think it's
in my heart.
You're owed that.
he's in an exact copy of the White House somewhere else.
But it's built to 1/2 scale.
You got a reminder. You got a reminder at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he waited until now. He was looking forward to this phone call all day.
Michelle gone with 3/4.
Michelle's trying to get through the door. It's just fucking too small.
Michelle, I can't.
Damn it, I told you, you gotta crouch down.
Sorry, I said damn it.
He'll... Making intense eye contact, he will lean forward the slightest degree and say,
Don't need to outrun rats Just
And he like searches for a word you can see.
Mm-hmm.
page behind you.
All right. Challenge of 2.
A new one?
Oh, did you already roll it? Oh,
Yeah,
that was
there
a
it is.
2.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it was a
perfect.
match.
Okay, got you. You will see Gus, like his smile just kind of like pull at the edges and become very serious. And he will regard Brexton for a moment. And then he'll just say over to him, "Hey, Brexton, this room's a bit tight. Why don't you go try to find Otto, shack up with him?" "Funny, Gus. Nothing funny about it. You can't be serious. Our friend found this place. It's his right to say who stays." "Yeah, but he could have told me before." "Just go." And you will see Brexton kind of like just wait to see that this has just been some big game, but kind of regarding you and then seeing the serious nature with which Gus has said things, he will get up. And he
Crow
will start. Go ahead.
is not eschewing him out or trying to prompt a decision. There's barely even a change to his expression, but you can tell the difference in his engagement because normally his head is inclined forward, and right now it's pulled back a bit as if to widen the eye to take in his sight better. But he offers no body language toward Brexton. He watches Gus with interest.
Yeah. And you just kind of get a side profile of Gus as you watch him maintain his composure, and Brexton just kind of like a kid who has been told to leave but just doesn't know what to do will slowly be pulling the door, just waiting for somebody to tell him to come back in. But you will see him disappear into the darkness beyond that door, and you'll start to hear kind of the skittering of tiny feet, teeth, and little white, bright eyes kind of starting to amass on the other side of it, just skittering. But then you'll hear the fast footfalls as Brexton tries to make his way to some other shelter. And the darkness will consume you all again.
Yeah, Crow just reclines back and relaxes and waits out the rest of the night.
Perfect. I will get to the other 2 real quick, but Mac, from your perch, you kind of like look down at this mass. It's quickly becoming nightfall. The sun has disappeared and it's only getting darker. But kind of within this mass of darkness, you see a kind of furtive man running through the mass of graves. Yeah, definitely shouting and screaming, just kind of like
There's gotta be a way out!
Feet.
There's gotta be a way out!
You see a man under an absolutely gargantuan tarp that he can't get out of.
You see his silhouette, and then you see about a dozen other rat silhouettes.
Tiny little rat things converging on this big glob of a man under a big tarp.
All snapping in unison. And you will see him running further and further, and in the distance you see torchlight, kind of a rare thing on the isle itself, but you see the man making a clear beeline towards it.
Okay.
Currently, you don't have shelter, but I'm not going to punish for you that right now. Like, currently you have a bit of a perspective, maybe high atop a hill overlooking the entire gravesite. What would you be doing right now?
Well, probably looking for shelter.
Okay. Sounds good.
I don't want to get eaten by rats like that guy, so.
Cool. Okay, go ahead and give me an investigate then.
I don't want to investigate. Yeah, I can totally do that.
Or notice. I'm sorry. I need to use my own rules. Notice or investigate. Challenge of 1.
Wow.
Okay.
2 is really screwing me over today.
Yeah, sorry. It's rough. So currently, you find a kind of like shallow mausoleum with part of its roof having been caved in, kind of exposed to the moonlight. And that's the best shelter you've been able to find.
Mm, so that's what I'm able to find.
Yep.
Uh, trying to think. That guy fled toward the torchlight.
Yep.
But I was following for a while
Yes.
everybody, right? So I
Yes,
know that there are
definitely.
other people here.
Yep.
So the pale lady, using her poor investigative skills, will find this bad excuse for a shelter, and upon peeking inside, realizing they're not there, uh, she's going to try to locate where the other people are.
Okay. And to that ends, are you looking to follow the person running towards the torchlight, or are you trying to find a different group?
I'm trying to find the group that's still here.
Yeah, there are dozens and dozens of them. So I'll say that there's no challenge associated with finding a different group, but most of the doors have been shut at this hour.
Okay, all right.
So on either side of you, you see just um, large mausoleum doors kind of closed to the night air.
Um, I want to try to. I want to use my stunt siren song to use music to try to provoke one of them to open up for me.
Okay, sounds good. I will set the challenge at a 1. These are just common folk, many of which are just trying to make it through the night, so not a very hard challenge. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything in particular, any type of setting you would like to find?
Um, a building that looks intact,
Sure.
not like the one that I found that's got a hole in the ceiling for the rats to fall on my head.
I will take what you succeeded over, so the shelter value will be 4.
Okay,
That's what you find.
great.
Um, as a kind of voices go quiet as soon as you start singing, and then another voice from inside will say, "It's beautiful. Do you think anything beautiful could live here? Everything dries up and dies. Don't open it. What are you talking about? It's a witch or something worse. I'm going to see." And the person will push open the door. And I imagine you're pretty tall, aren't you?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. They
I'm
will.
like
Go ahead.
if the average person is like 5'7", I'm probably 6'3", 6.
Okay. Perfect. The eyes will be looking down, but they'll slowly climb up to see your face, kind of like illuminated with the rising moon. And kind of like a feeling of both awe and shock will go across their face as they kind of stammer and say, "Your singing is beautiful."
Thank you. I seek shelter inside.
We'd be happy to have you. Please.
Yes. Uh, she will move inside. Quick note is when she's singing, she's not really singing anything in particular. There's no lyrics to these songs. They are just audible tones, oohs and ahs,
Vocalizing.
vocalizing, ultimately reaching, the ears of those she's trying to impart ideas into. Um, she will move inside alongside this gentleman. It was a man.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be a gentleman, and you can see that there are roughly 4 people here, 3 of which seem very enchanted with your singing, and then another 2 which are just pressed into the far wall, seeing who you are, or what you are, more accurately. but the ones that welcome you do so pretty warmly. They push aside what meager kind of possessions they have to make a spot for you, kind of like giving you the prime location in here.
She sort of floats across the floor, though it's accompanied by the webbed patter of her feet, and she will take her seat among them graciously.
It's been a while since I've heard any singing, says one of the younger men. Would you do it again?
If that would make you happy.
I've been happy for a long time, but it'd be a start.
And she will sing
Cool.
well into the morning hours, as long as people are awake. People may be drifting off over the course of time, but she will gladly sing until the moon is high into the sky.
Okay.
The rat moon.
Yeah, the rat moon cometh. We will get back to the roles and what your shelter values kind of translate into in a moment. But we are going to instead go earlier in the day when the sun is still high in the sky. Cutting back to you, Dave. Let me change this real quick. Into the Gold Shirt Enclave, the kind of point that all prisoners are loaded onto, Bulwark. A formidable settlement on its own, but one that serves a critical kind of service for the Empire, which is processing and delivering all the captives of the multiple regions of Prospero into this prison colony. Let's see, real quick. Rakote, you are being processed. You came on a long ship's journey here from the capital city, and have only now kind of been sat in front of a gold shirt who is poring over all of your individual possessions, deciding what you get to keep and what will be kept here, deciding if you are a threat or if you are someone that can be let through unabated. And currently, this gold shirt seems to be holding a kind of a gold-plated locket to his eye. And then he carefully pops the center of it open and looks at the picture inside. And Rakote, just to kind of set the tone, I would love for you to roll a rapport. I'm going to set the challenge at a 1 to kind of give us a gauge of what this person thinks of you.
Sure. Rapport challenge of 1.
Okay. Success. This gold shirt has been much less cruel than the ones that you've kind of been familiarizing yourself with, much against your own choice. And as this man kind of regards the locket, he will turn an eye over to you and say, "Your son, does he know the trouble you're in?"
I feel like I don't know that I'll ever be able to draw it better than this. So,
It's Peter.
yeah. Yeah, do you ever download something and you're like, where the fuck did that go? I think it's here.
Not porn.
Terabytes. Almost, this is probably the very closest thing that I could get to it, but
Okay, nice.
this would be the picture in the locket. So essentially, a painting of. Is there photography yet? No.
Yes, that's called chemiography. It's kind of duotone, so it'd be more sepia, really. But yes, there is simple photography.
How achievable is that?
It is if you're wealthy.
Okay.
Like the Parliament of Pleasure, if you're anywhere near there, it's definitely more of a practice.
All right. I'm thinking, given what we've discussed, I think this would be a tiny painting. So this would probably be a photograph.
Okay.
Unless it was somebody that painted it with an eyelash or something. Given that it's all, but regardless, picture, painting or photograph, whichever, it's fairly handsome looking younger man of a seafaring sort, dressed in considerably wealthy garb, bearing a passing countenance to the somewhat horrific monster that is standing opposite this gold shirt. Um, Looking closer to something like a bloated corpse that has spent the better part of a week underwater. Rakote's skin is sallow. It is gently transparent in the right light, but mostly a sort of unsettling milky blue that hangs loosely from his bones. Um, his upper body appears swollen, um, as if the bones underneath were expanding, clearly suffering from uh, a clearly, having been a victim of the sea, he is somewhere in between a full blown transformed chum and a man.
Mm-hmm.
Lower part of his body, though his legs are misaligned, they are strikingly thin, almost underweight, and don't seem to be able to support the large, swollen chest cavity that is carrying on the top of this man's body.